All right. So, Steve, you want to just start with you want to look at Bitcoin first?
Yeah, we could do Bitcoin and just see what's been going on with it since yesterday. I know we made a video about it, but see what's going on with it.
Yeah. Sorry,
See,
just
look
give
at
me
the
1 second.
RSI, eh? See the RSI? It couldn't even come close to a lower high.
Yeah, it's already coming back down here.
Yeah.
From yesterday, I think when we made that video, it was time was that at? Yeah, we didn't even have this touch on the
Yeah.
wedge.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you were talking about that in the video yesterday that you probably thought it was going to touch again and get rejected. We only had the 3 rejections in the video.
yeah. So since yesterday, I think we just pretty much it's proving like our point here with the wedge here. So we're making another lower high from the last time,
Yeah.
right? So we're in this descending wedge, and then it touched it. Even the 200 EMA too, it touched, and then it came
Mm-hmm.
down hard. It actually tested the 45K level.
Yeah.
Um,
Again,
yeah. So
it
which
did
is
find support there again.
yeah, which is a good thing. And then I think honestly, in the next coming days, like by the weekend, I think we're gonna either see downside or we're gonna break out of this falling wedge and then uh, maybe look to test 52K or 50K again. But I honestly think what's happening right now is this is what's playing out here is almost like this is the accumulation state, right? So we had this little run here, and it's almost like the same thing that we did here where we have a big move downwards, and then, kind of weak hands, like the money goes from weak hands into the institutional and stronger hand people that are buying. And then we have a little bit of a run. And then the strong hand people that bought here when everyone's scared sold it here. And then it's kind of doing the same thing now. I feel like it's just accumulation. People are selling because they're panicking. And, I don't personally think we see anything below 45K. I think it's going to just consolidate and go sideways for a little bit. And
Yeah.
we're just kind of having like a rounding bottom type of move here, right? Like we had this double top, and then it's kind of coming down, rounding bottom, and then we're gonna move back up to the upside. But
Yeah.
I don't think any of this is bad. I think it's good that we've found a hard support at 45K, but obviously it can be bad. Two things: if it breaks 45K, where's the bottom? And the second thing is we still have this liquidation candle that hasn't been filled, right? So
Yeah.
there's still a lot of questions, but I don't think this is any different than what happened here. I think it's
Yeah.
similar. Time frames may be different and price points may be different, but I think it's going to be the same overall result. And I think the second time we break above 50K, I think we're going to actually find a bottom at 50 or 52. And then that's when people can start looking for safer entries to be buying above 52K. Because if we get above 52K, I think that's the safest area to say, okay, I'm going to start. Like if we get to 53, okay, that's what I'm going to start safely buying. And I think that's a good zone where we're not going to come back down to all this. And then we can kind of start our bull run and reclaim the 68K and even higher.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I know yesterday we were talking about how it is a little bit of a concern that it's been rejected now 4 times in the last week off the 200-day EMA. But that 45K support, that's going to be the 7th time this month that and well in the previous month
yeah,
that it tested the 45K and actually held. So like you said, it's in a little bit of a weird spot. It's kind of going sideways, but I 100% agree. I think if Bitcoin can hold the 45K line, the support,
yeah,
and it breaks out of that wedge and breaks the 50K, I think you're 100% right. I think we find a new support at the lower 50K range. So
yeah. But yeah, I think because even downsending triangle or downsending, yeah, triangles and anything downsending in crypto is actually a bullish signal, right? So stuff like we had here, and we even had here another downsending triangle that was a lot longer, but these are all very, very bullish things unless we break this, obviously, bottom support,
Yeah.
right? Which it's been tested, I'd say three good times it's been tested now, the 45K level. So it's definitely showing its strength. Now the problem is that if it falls through again, like, who knows where we're gonna bottom out at. But I want to actually see if I can get a good VPVR indicator here, because I want to see this 45K level.
Yeah, you see how heavy the resistance is at see, there's not much resistance at 45K, but there's a lot of resistance at 47.
So at the 47, and then even here we had the 48 level. Like, here's the biggest congestion, right? And it's coming down as we're getting lower, as we're making lower highs. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of resistance at the 47, 48K level.
That's a little bit concerning because you don't, like, if it breaks that 45K support, you don't know where it's going. You don't know what the new bottom's going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's not much resistance at the 45K level for for what the VPVR is showing. So
yeah, so definitely concerns, definitely. But again, I think we just consolidate for a little bit. I don't think we break lower. Again, like, even going back to before the run up, the 45K level, was strong. So it's gonna take a lot to push it down. But again, I would, if people are waiting, like, people have cash on hand and they're not in a trade right now, I'd definitely wait for a signal, right? Wait for this wedge to either be broken to the upside to like a 40, 47.5, even a 48K, and then wait for your little natural, right? So if we have another bounce like this and then it breaks it at 47.5, I would even wait for a natural pullback, see where it kind of bottoms out at, and then try and buy in somewhere around here, and wait for that next move. But yeah, again, boring stuff going on with Bitcoin. I don't think anything crazy. It's kind of just a replay of what's happened.
yeah,
But
it's never fun when it trades sideways, but it's inevitable. There's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, and then even
With
Ethereum's,
it's been getting killed.
Yeah, similar type of stuff, but it doesn't really have a bottom like that Bitcoin has.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we can just say the bottom is this liquidation candle. But again, kind of filled it, you can say it filled it, say it didn't, but it's definitely close. And again, this 200 EMA level is definitely getting tested. Definitely a lot more volatile though, Ethereum. Like, a lot more drastic movements. Didn't really have a lot of time to consolidate. Like, you're seeing it now, it's consolidating a little bit at the 3,800 level. But ever since this big move down, kind of just getting drastic jump around moves, like, doesn't really know where it wants to be, goes above the 200 EMA, comes back down, tests it as resistance a little bit. So I think Ethereum's a little more confused than Bitcoin.
Yeah, Ethereum doesn't provide such, like, I almost want to say a standard pattern like Bitcoin does. When you're looking at Bitcoin, it's easy to say, okay, you have multiple tests at a 45K support. Here, every time Ethereum's jumping up and down, you don't see a clear support, whether it's at 3,800 or whatever. You can't really figure out a clear support that Ethereum's bouncing off of, like you can with Bitcoin, like 7 touches in the last month at the 45K support. Yeah. So Ethereum's a lot harder to, like you said, it's making drastic changes. It's a lot harder to figure out.
Even I want to see if I can get this pulled up for Bitcoin quickly, but there was something I saw in the Bollinger Bands, which was interesting to me. Let me see if I can get a good Bollinger Bands. Yeah, these are pretty good. Okay, let's just take a look here. I forget if it was in the daily. Yeah, daily or 4 hour. But when the Bollinger Bands, I think the 4 hours better actually. Sorry, give me a second. So when the Bollinger Bands get really tight, like how they're getting here, and how they got here, they got really tight. It's kind of telling you that there's going to be another move, right? Like again, you see it here. They get really close together. Here it got really close together. Here it got really close together, right? When the Bollinger Bands get really tight together, it's kind of telling you that volatility slowing down and there's going to be a bigger move coming soon, right? So you see it in all these big moves that happened, right? Like you see the Bollinger Bands get really thin, and then like they're a lot more wider and separated here than they are here. They get a lot closer together, and then a bigger move comes. So another thing just to look out for, like these are all things people should be adding to their, if you're trying to get an entry on a trade, you're trying to figure out whether you're entering at the right spot or not. These should all be things you're looking at, right? Bollinger Bands, EMA, resistance, support levels, wedges. Did it break the trend? Did it not? So, I think this is more kind of just telling you what's happening right now, and I think that just proves more to the point that we're in more of an accumulation state. And doesn't mean it's going to move up, doesn't mean it's going to move down, but it means that volatility is slowing down and people are, the money is switching hands, right? So we're going from the weak hand people, like what I said before, to the strong hand institutional people. And it takes time to make that move, and then you get to move, right? You got to move down or you got to move up. So I think we're in that state right now.
Yeah, and going off of that point, if you were to look at the Bollinger Bands here, the longer the sideways consolidation, the thinner the band, and that's just furthering your point about how when the money's switching hands, that doesn't happen overnight, right? It might take a couple weeks, depending how much money's being moved. But the longer like in this case, Bitcoin, the longer Bitcoin consolidates and trades sideways, the thinner the band, and then you're going to see either the move up or down with the wider Bollinger Bands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's honestly, I don't think there's a lot to look at for ETH. I think similar, again, Bitcoin's dominance is huge. So if you watch Bitcoin, that should tell you enough about the general market. But we can even get into some of these, like even Matic, we had this wedge forming and it just broke and it's coming down now to the 200 EMA, around the 230s level. So what do you think, Steve, about Matic breaking this wedge?
It is a little bit concerning because of how well Matic was trading within the wedge. You have two higher highs, around the 20th and then the 27th, and then you see the downtrend start. The only thing with Matic here is, although it did break the wedge, it would have been nice to see it find support on the bottom of the wedge there. But with this 200-day EMA, if it finds support off the 200-day, then Matic's looking pretty good. But I'm going to be watching this closely. If it breaks below the 200-day EMA and can't hold it as support, I think I'm probably going to exit out of the position and then look to re-enter, because if it breaks down below
it's just the 1 hourly. But
you got to look at if you're looking at the 1 day,
1 day 4 hour is pretty much the strongest you're going to get with the 200 EMA.
But that's the one major thing I'm looking out for, is that I want to see Matic find support on the 200-day EMA. Otherwise, I'm going to consider exiting out of the position and then just seeing how much lower it goes from there.
No, I agree with you.
I think if it breaks that 200-day EMA and doesn't find it as support, I know I mentioned this, but I feel like we would probably see the $2 levels again.
Yeah.
So, I'm just going to be watching that closely to see what happens with that. It is concerning, though, that it did break out of the wedge because of how well it was using it as support and resistance, and then you kind of get that consolidation and breakthrough on the bottom part of the wedge. So we're just going to be keeping a close eye on that.
I just wanted to show something quickly with a lot of people talk about Luxalgo, a lot of people like it. I don't use it as a straight buy and sell signal, but I do use it for a lot of the tools that it has. I think it was on Bitcoin. Yeah, it was on Bitcoin's. Yeah, so you can see here, Bitcoin's 4 hourly, right? So with the trend catcher, I like using the trend catcher, this red, very straightened line here. So even though it had, so this trend catcher never switched to green, right? So in previous states here, you can see switches to green, right? It's trending bullish, and then pretty much ever since this big liquidation candle, it's never gone back to green, and it's been bearish this whole time. And even though it broke above the trend catcher here with this big break up here, it still was red. So I think if we break above it here at this level, we could see the trend change. But I think when we do see the trend change, that's going to tell us a good amount about what's actually going to happen next. Just in the case that, you know, throughout all this here, it was still bearish, and it was obviously telling you, this was a fake out, a little bit of a fake out here with the double top, and it was a very fast move both ways. So just something to look at with the trend catcher and Lux Algo. I know not everybody uses it, not everybody has it, but I use the tools like this. Even the reversal zones are good areas to see, like when it's overbought or oversold. Same thing, just with like it's like an enhanced RSI almost. It tells you when it's overbought, oversold, and positions to look at. But yeah, that was just one thing I saw with that. And I think Ethereum's the same. Yeah, Ethereum's the same. So yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a good indicator. And for anybody watching this, right now or after the fact, if you want a video just simply about how to use that indicator, because I know a lot of people do like it, but you put that on your chart, it looks super confusing. So
yeah, we
if
should
anybody
definitely
wants
make
to
a video.
see, yeah.
I think another one too, Polkadot. I don't know. We don't talk a lot about this coin, but I think a good area here for Polkadot. I was looking at this little upwards trending line here, upwards support, and then you could even make a little something like that. So this we have higher lows, but I think it's been peaking out at the top here around $30. It's kind of been struggling to get above it, and even with the 200 EMA again, right? This is a very strong indicator people have to use to understand trends and where struggling points are and all that. But I think Polkadot's it's already been rejected here at the $30 level, but if you can get it down towards 27, I can even see it coming back down to the 26 level. I think that would be a good buying opportunity for Polkadot, because I honestly see it kind of reclaiming these, high 30s, even low $40 levels pretty soon. It's a very strong coin. If you guys don't know what it is, don't take my word, don't take anybody's word for it, but do your own research and look into it. But yeah, I think Polkadot's pretty bullish here in the next few months. I like it for the start of 2022, and
Yeah, I think so as well. And another thing to look for here is even if we were to start a position here, as you were saying, like it at the $25 range, I would let this play out and see what happens with the wedge that you just created here. So, over the next 4 or 5 days, you're going to see eventually, Polkadot's going to reach a point where it's going to either go up or down through the wedge. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with when it reaches to the end of the wedge, and what's happening with the 200-day EMA as well. Because right now, you have strong consolidation along the 200-day EMA, and it looks like it's headed right for the crevice of the wedge. So it's important to wait in a situation like this and see what happens over the next few days. And once Polkadot breaks through this wedge, you'll have a clearer picture of which way the coin's trending.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you. And again, like situations, I think 90% of people's time when they're trading should be put into their buys and not their sells. I feel like, it takes a lot. You should take a lot more time setting up a buy than you should allocate to selling your position, right? I feel like people often buy too fast and wait too long to sell, right? Instead of taking your time buying, don't, I'm not saying to FOMO into things or, buy too early when something's pulling back, but you should definitely look at the whole picture a lot more and actually see what's going on. Like if you just look at this chart without these two lines, right? Like what does this look like? To the average person, doesn't look like much is going on. It was at $32 not too long ago, and it's down almost $3 from that level. So it's a pretty good area to buy. But you have to understand, when coins and even stocks and anything that trades in a format like this, you got to understand when there's more downside potential towards upside potential and which way money's going, right? Whether it's coming in or going out. So I think, one of the best tips I feel like anybody could give anybody is to put a lot more time into starting a position than closing a position. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents on that quickly.
Yeah, and even if you were to add the RSI in here.
Yeah, I was just about to do that.
So if you were to look at this RSI, so I'm just writing something down quick about this chart, but if you were to look at the RSI here, you can see that it's sitting right above the 50 mark. Here's the thing: if you were to look at the bigger picture, like that was just mentioned, you would see that within the last week, the RSI has touched like the 35 level. So you're looking at this. If you're not using the RSI, like as was just mentioned, if you're just looking at a blank chart, you're going to get confused. You don't know what's going on. But if you were to add the little things, you have the 200-day EMA there, you have the wedge, you're putting time into thinking of when you're going to buy something. If you were to look at the RSI here, and this is just an example of this indicator, there are multiple indicators that can give you different information. So it depends what you're looking for. But as I just mentioned, it's sitting at just above the 50 level. There's no reason that the RSI doesn't go back down to test the 35 level. It's in a downtrend right now, and the way the coin was looking with the wedge and the 200-day EMA, I wouldn't be surprised if the RSI heads back down to 35, and then you can start to think about an entry or a buy position, because by the time the RSI gets back down to 35, the wedge will probably be complete. So you'll have, as I mentioned before, you'll have a better picture of which way Polkadot's heading.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think Polkadot, yeah, just to recap on everything we said, I think a good entry on Polkadot anywhere below 20, between 27 and, as long as it doesn't break really like $25, I think is a good entry on Polkadot. But yeah, we can move on here if you want.
Did you want to go over that the Woo coin that everybody's talking about in GALA, and then we could probably close out after that? I have a lot of video ideas we can work on. So
yeah, we'll do the Woo. Woo, I don't know, it was talked about a lot today, and I think it has a lot to do. I'll show you guys the news quickly that came out on Woo that caused all of this. Binance invested $12 million in the Woo network, and it created this huge, you don't really, crypto's the one place where you will see money move like this. In the stock market too sometimes, but it's way more heavily manipulated than the stuff we see here. But this was just straight off a news catalyst. This wasn't, you had to see it to capitalize on it. Nobody knew this was coming, right? So, but almost 30% in, under 45 minutes. But yeah, it definitely made a big move. And then looking forward, it topped out at $1.20, came back down. Everyone's selling their position, everyone that bought here, but I think it's setting a new, I think it's safe to say that Woo is setting a new, area of where it's going to, trade around, right? Like here, it was in the high 80s to under $1 range for a long time, right? You had these little pull-ups to $1, and it was heavy resistance at $1, right? You see it here. You see it here when it broke above for a little bit and then came back down, right? And I think the all-time high was, if I'm not wrong, oh no, it was definitely a lot higher. Yeah, it was 180. I thought for some reason that this was breaking all-time highs, but yeah, so it's kind of getting back above that $1 level, which I think was a big resistance for a long time, and it kind of drifted away from that. But yeah, struggling with the 200 EMA and that resistance level, I think it's important, and it's bullish for this coin that it did this. But yeah, Steve, you can take on here.
even even looking at more of a basic chart, you can see that it's starting to trade sideways. Now, obviously, the region that it's trading within, you talk about like the 120 to the 104 where support is range. So, you have a 15-cent range, but on a chart it looks pretty big. But when you look at the numbers, 15 cents is nothing crazy. Like on a $1 coin, it is, it's not a small percentage, but you can see that the coin has started to trade sideways within that region. So when you have something like that, it's a lot harder once that support at 104 or 105 is created. It is a lot harder to break it when it is traded sideways so long because there isn't enough selling power. So unless there was a specific event, a negative event that would happen, um, it's pretty rare that you see it dip much below that support that's posted because people have been buying and selling at the same rate for, however long the consolidation period is. And that's what's happening here. Nobody's selling it for anything less than $1.05 and nobody's buying it for anything more than $1.20. But in a sense, it's a good thing because there are a lot of people buying at this range and there aren't more people selling larger positions. Otherwise, you would see more of a downtrend instead of the consolidation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's. I want to talk about this GALA for a little bit. Um,
This one makes me nervous.
yeah, the GALA. I like, honestly, a lot of the of the gaming. It's been another thing that's been talked about a lot is the gaming industry and the metaverse and all that stuff that people are, starting to look at. Could the metaverse be, could 2022 be the year of this metaverse stuff exploding, right? So, and I'm pretty bullish on all metaverse. Like I had Engine for a long time. I held that coin for a long time, and GALA I think has a lot of potential. Just because the range it's in and the things it's going to do in 2022, I think it has a lot of potential. Maybe we should even put out a video later on this coin individually. Yeah. But again, we're not saying to buy anything. It's all opinion, and we're just talking about sharing thoughts about stuff. But I think this coin, it's came down. Like you can almost say that it's been, bearish for, a long time. Even from this point here.
Even the thing with this coin, the reason it is making me a little bit nervous right now is because of that 200-day EMA. Also because it went from 2 cents at the beginning of the year to 80 something cents.
Yeah, it's definitely already made a huge move.
Yeah.
In the year, but like it's up,
you're talking 800%.
Yeah.
And that's not even from the bottom. If we're talking like
and that's
if you
also
were to go to
10 days.
Yeah, that exactly. If you were to go to early November, it's going to be, probably a little bit more than that.
Yeah, so
that's why
it's definitely
it's
made
had a huge run up.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's definitely made a big move, but it gave it all back, and usually when stuff like this happens, where you see a big move happen really fast, and then it gives it all, not all of it back. We're not back down to 9 cents, but it gives it back to a point where the coin is actually valued at, right?
Yeah.
A lot of this, if this was realistic and trading was perfect and everyone traded to the exact valuation of a coin, this trading would have stopped at 43 cents. This run, would have stopped at 43 cents. But there's a lot of FOMO, and people want to get in, and people want to make money, and it went double than what it was actually worth, right?
Yeah.
So it gives half of that back, and then it trades sideways for a long time, and then people take it off their watch list, stop looking at it, doesn't do anything for a few weeks, a month even, and I think it's at a point now where it's safe, and I honestly feel like even if you want to call the bottom here at 37 or even 40 cents, but.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot more upside potential. Again, with the 200-day EMA, there's stuff you want to look at. But with the RSI bottoming out, like every time the RSI was below 30 in the last month, it had a big move, right?
Yeah.
Whether that was, here, this was the bottom, 37 cents, the RSI below 30, and it had a massive move to 58 cents, right? Almost a double, like 40%. Again, here, like picking the bottom here, right? Huge bear trap here, or bear trap here. Bottoms out right below 30, and then has a massive move again, 55 cents, right? And then you're seeing it now. If this can get below, the 30 RSI point,
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's a good point to it's a good state to buy, and it's kind of making these higher lows, very very slight, but it's kind of making these higher lows above. This is kind of the trading it's been in for the last half a month, even a month. So I think there's a lot of upside potential with this coin. It could see, I'm not going to call $1 on it, but short term, I think it'll be good. End of 2022, we can say anything about anything, but I think short term, this is a good coin to look at. And we should do a more in detailed video just on this coin alone later too. But
yeah, this is another example of something you need to wait for, right? Even for me, like, when a coin's like this, there is a lot of uncertainty. That's with anything. But, it's important to be patient, do your own research, right? So, for example, I would love buying this coin in the mid to high 30s. The reason, it's not like I haven't bought it yet or right now is because I'm looking to see if it creates a new bottom under the 200-day EMA. And I also want to see that RSI below 30 because, as it was mentioned, every time it's dipped below, it's seen a bigger move. So, when something's 42 cents, 5 cents makes a big difference in percentage. And depending how much money you have in, a 5-cent move on a 40-cent coin can be a significant amount of money. So that's just something to look out for. You have to be comfortable with your entry. You can't just be buying it because, it's half of what it used to be. You have to, make sure that, as it was mentioned, the RSI is where you want it to be. And, you got to see that consolidation on a support before you enter a position here.
Yeah, exactly. And even just to, like, you have to be, again, like, to add on to what you were saying about being comfortable about where you're buying at, right? Like, you have to be fully comfortable. If you were to buy this right now, I don't personally see, like, I think this could be, I'm not going to call the bottom, but I think this is very close to the bottom of what's going to come next for GALA. I think that, I don't see it going below 40 cents, but I'm saying in a case where maybe, you buy a different coin, you buy Polkadot right now, right? You have to ask yourself, like, am I going to be able to hold this coin if it dips to $26? If you think there's going to be, if you think it's going to move like this and then have, an upwards move, right? Are you okay with that? But that'll save you out of a lot of the panic selling. Like, the number one thing in crypto is you got to have confidence and you got to know what you're investing in. And you have to like it more than anybody can prove to you that it's good or whatever, right? Because the news has a big factor and what people think has a big factor, right? So you can't let people influence your opinion on something. So
Exactly. And that's why a lot of times when people panic sell, it's not because, obviously panics, like when people panic sell, it's a split-second decision. But the problem with that is, that happens a lot because people are buying cryptos that they don't know anything about or that they're not confident in.
exactly, yeah.
So that, that's why you always hear us talk about how, what price range is something trading in. Okay, so if I was to buy it here, what would I be what would I be okay with it going down to based off a chart or based off your technical analysis, right? So, even like talking about the GALA coin, for me, I wouldn't be comfortable losing, a couple cents on that where it sits right now. I said, okay, I like it at this price. If it gets there, then I'll consider the entry, right? So everybody has a different trading strategy. Just, if I was to buy it now and then it moves down 6 cents, now have to wait 6 cents again to be even. But if I was to wait and say, okay, I like it at this price, and if it doesn't get there, then you know what? I'll just look for the next one. But if it gets there and then it moves back up to where it was, now you're up that 6 cents, on a 40-cent coin. So
yeah, exactly. And
even you have to be comfortable with the area you're trading in.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to know, nobody can judge a risk before it comes, but you kind of have to know what you're comfortable with and where you would cut your losses at, right? But
Exactly.
even something I just wanted to quickly just even because we're gonna upload this stream after, but just to have in the video is that I don't. I think we're basing this channel more like this YouTube channel more about, we want to teach people, how to get to a point where you can comfortably make your own decisions, right?
Yeah.
Where you have the tools and you have the mindset and you have, the capabilities within yourself to say, to put all the pieces together and say, yeah, this is a good buy, or kind of make your own signals in your, with your own tools that we're going to try teaching you on this channel. Instead of just saying, coming out here with a hype video about, Woo's gonna explode, buy Woo, like instead of doing stuff like that where I feel like, yeah, you may, you may make some money, but if you can't, rely on yourself, and if you can't have your own knowledge and input on making a decision, then, is it really worth it? Are you really trading? Is it really something that you can do, right? So I think that's more of the basis of what we're trying to teach people is more, training yourself to come to these decisions more than us telling you what to do, right? Like a lot of people that buy these, these trading signals, right? Like what good does that really do for you? You have somebody telling you what to buy and, where to sell, right? So
Yeah.
but
The end game is to be able to make decisions on your own. And, let's say you find a coin you like and you set it up on a chart. You put your EMA, you got your RSI, you got your MACD, whatever your favorite indicators are, or whatever indicators you use based off the information that you want to find out, long-term, short-term, how it's moving in the last day, etc. Different indicators give you different results. But, just like it was mentioned right now, when you're when you're doing those kinds of things, it's better to do it on your own first, and then go look on the internet, see what people are saying, like, see if you're right, see if if people are disagreeing with what you came to as a conclusion. A lot of these pages out here, they're either paid or it's personal interest to say on their channels, buy this coin, do this, do that. But I think the most important thing is to learn what you want out of it, and then go and look and see what everybody else is doing. Because if you say, okay, I think this is a good entry because the RSI is showing this pattern and the EMA is doing this, it could be any situation, and then you come to that conclusion on your own because you're educated on these types of things, and then you can go on YouTube and say, okay, is this coin a good buy or whatever, and then you see what people are saying at the time. And if people are saying it's a good buy, then you made the right decision. If people are disagreeing, then you can go back to the chart, have another look, and if you're still confident with your setup, then you take that setup.
yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Anything else you want to cover? You think we're good there? I think we're 40 minutes here.
Yeah, I think we're good. I mean, we got so many video ideas, excuse me, that we have to go over. So
Yeah.
I think we can have this up, and then unless you wanted to do we can go Lux Algo and just do, a little video within the live stream right now
Explaining it.
if you're up for that. Yeah.
You want to do that now, or you want to do it in a separate video?
I mean, yeah, maybe
I
we
feel
could
like
do
we
a
can.
separate
Yeah.
video. Yeah, because it's already 40 minutes.
Yeah. Let's wrap up the stream and then we'll get to doing that stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's gonna conclude today's stream. I know, at times it can kind of feel like, if you're a beginner in this type of stuff, that, we're bouncing all over the place. But once you get more familiar with, everything that is discussed within these streams, it'll be a lot easier to understand what's going on. And as always, like, we would love to see people ask questions or, leave comments about anything that they would like to see within a video, and we can definitely take care of that for them and help explain anything that anybody's wondering about. I mean, sometimes even after all these years, it kind of feels like you don't always know what's going on because it's a reality. Not everybody, actually nobody knows, 100% of the time what's really going on with these markets. So it's more about just teaching yourself as much as you can and asking questions and learning. And I know when we were starting out, we were asking dozens of questions, trying to figure things out, spending hours, playing around with different indicators on charts, and spending weeks watching different coins, different stocks, how they move, um, you know, what day of the week do we see a lot of volume, things like that, things that like don't seem relevant end up playing a bigger role. So for anybody who has any questions, we're always more than happy to answer any of them. And we'll even make a video explaining whether it's an indicator, it's a coin, it's a trading strategy, whatever anybody's interested in. Just leave a comment down below and we'll definitely make a video addressing that.
All right, sounds good. That wraps up today's stream, and we don't really have a set schedule yet on what we're doing with streams and videos, but eventually we're going to come to a point where we're going to do, a stream every day, and then, maybe a video every other day, but, hope this taught you something, and we'll see you guys next time. And leave a like and subscribe.